What is up, my good people of the internet? Happy to be here with you. Thank you for your patience this morning as we got set and ready to go. It is bracket time, and I am ecstatic because every year that we do this bracket thing over here, the bracket unveiling on Wake Up Call, I don't just do the bracket, I do it with one of my best and awesome people in my life, and that is Mr. Ross Turetsky, a fellow sportscaster, a writer, my best good friend. And, you know, we do this thing called The Drive, and I created the title over a decade ago, and it's a capital D for my name and a capital R for Ross, and it's called The Drive, and we literally drive you through the entire bracket, and in working with Great Lakes Honda City, they proudly present to you The Drive today, and I'm very excited to share this moment with you as we will be unveiling our entire brackets. And folks, this is what I do to make it real for you in the moment. As we break things down and do it, I take these sheets and I fill, because I got one for me, one for us, and I fill it in so you can physically see it. So at the end of the show, I'll do this and you will see everything on your screen, and that is my bracket. I will post it. I'm a man of my word. And so, also, Heath Ledger's Joker. But I'm a man of my word.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you the Joker? I was like, when did you become the crazy Joker? The clown prince?
I'm a man of my word. So, I mean, we will have that set up here for you today. We're unveiling the bracket in the first part of the show. In the second part of the show, Papa Joe is going to be joining me to speak on Major League Baseball's tour in the Seoul series, which officially starts the 2024 Major League Baseball season, with spring training continuing on for the rest of the teams out there for Major League Baseball. And then from there, we're going to jump into some Jaguars talk and some Jaguars moves in the roster and all that good stuff. So with that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com.
7 more days until opening day, a week from today.
You can hear the voice in the background, and that is because my buddy Ross is joining me here today for yet another edition of The Drive. Now, I lost count of how many years. Ross says he believes it's been 13 years that we have been doing our bracket unveiling show, which is incredible and exciting and exhilarating and fun. And now we're back here to do it again. So what we're going to do is you're going to see the bracket up on your screen. You're going to see the East first. We're going to do it just like they unveiled it with the bracket officially. So you're going to see the East, then you're going to see the South, then you're going to see the Midwest, and then you're going to see the West. And we're going to be able to write on this thing. Ross is on one side, I'm on the other, and we'll be filling it out as we go. And then I'll be filling it out on the sheets so that you can physically see that too. So we'll have two different ways for you to interact with our bracket. But I'm excited about doing this, buddy. We always have a great time with doing our bracket. And I want to let everybody know, and I'm going to put a link here for you as well. If you want to join our bracket challenge officially with your bracket, then you can go ahead and do that with us if you want to join our bracket. So I want to make sure that I somehow send this over to myself. But if you want to join the bracket challenge for us, you can simply go to Yahoo and you can follow our link. And so I am going to make sure that we put that up in our feeds here so that you can go ahead and join us in the bracket challenge. Very exciting, a lot of fun, and it is free to play. So you could just jump right in there, join our bracket challenge, put your bracket in, put it up against mine, show me what you got going on, and see how you can do against Ross and I through this entire bracket, because it runs it all the way through to the end. So we're going to go ahead and put the link up here as we go. But let's get started with the bracket, Ross. I'm excited about this. I'm happy that you and I are not interpreters potentially being sued by Shohei Ohtani this morning. So this is going to be fun. Any word that you want to share with the world before we unveil our brackets?
There's baseball going on right now as we speak in South Korea. That's what I was watching.
I
had to take my kids to school.
With the baseball. He just can't.
No. I had to take my kids to school, and I was watching on my little phone while I was even driving safely. I had in the corner of the car, and have to get my baseball fix in. I was Shohei Ohtani made his major league his Dodgers debut yesterday, and then the whole madness with the interpreter nonsense happened. And it's fun to see games that count. It's hard then to go back to spring training for a week of baseball. It doesn't matter, but I'm very excited. A week from today, it's official. March 28th, opening day, should be a national holiday. Even though I do miss, buddy, it used to be the day of the national championship game for college basketball, for men's college basketball, and opening day used to be the same exact day. That Monday, like first Monday in April,
Yeah.
it was the ultimate. Should have been national holiday. You had all day Major League Baseball opening day, which should be a national holiday to begin with, our national pastime, and then at nighttime you had the national championship game for basketball. So I do kind of miss that. Then now baseball starts up late March, and we had the overseas in Korea we had games. I wish that we could go back to that first Monday in April, college basketball championship and Major League Baseball opening day. I do miss that.
Well, I mean, you can look at this and feel good about this for the future. The college football playoffs are going to be so long that it'll probably run right into the beginning of baseball season for us in the future. So that's
Hey, but at least it's a little more fair. I'd rather have 12 teams than like Florida State and Georgia and other teams that deserve to be in this 14 playoff not have a chance, not have a crack at it.
oh yeah, absolutely. And there's so much to talk about with that and the unfair advantages that people receive. But we're going to stay in the college basketball world this morning. We're going to bring you our brackets. We're ecstatic to do this with you. A lot of fun. And so we are about to unveil our brackets. We're going to start in the East because that's where we were both born. No, we're going to start in the East because that is where the bracket unveiling began itself. So we're going to go right to the East side of things. And Ross is going to be on the left side. I'm going to be on the right side of your screen. For those of you watching on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, fear not, because we will be bringing you through the whole thing, telling you exactly that as well. So a lot of good stuff coming up here. Ross, I'm going to defer to you. So this is how we're going to do it. This is the East region, round of 64. So you're going to give me your pick, UConn versus Stetson, FAU versus Northwestern, all the way down. I'm going to circle them for you. I'm going to write them on the sheet here. And so we're going to do it as we go, and then I'll go ahead and circle mine. So bring me down your line here of who you have for the East region.
All right. Well, the first one, as we all know, for the longest time, no 16 beat the number one seed. Now it's happened before a few times, a couple times actually. Yeah, which it seemed like it was never going to happen. Could David slay Goliath? And it's happened. The other day I sent you, I think earlier the week, it was 6-year anniversary of the first time it ever happened. And still shocking. And it was crazy. It happened to Virginia. And then Virginia the next year in 2019 won the national title. And now have no success in the tournament because they just got knocked out in the playing game by Colorado State. So, it's just wild where we've come. But this is not where it's going to happen. Stetson as a 16 seed they're going to get mauled by UConn. The UConn Huskies are a juggernaut. They won the national championship last year. Nothing is guaranteed, especially with young adults out there. Anything could happen. They might get too cocky and they can get an upset pulled off against them, but not by the 16 seed. UConn, with their coach Hurley, who's just a heck of a coach, coming from a long line of coaches in his family, UConn is going to just destroy Stetson. So that is a lock. That's going to definitely happen. Then in the 8-9 matchup, that's always kind of even, an 8-9 matchup here. I'm going to go with Northwestern. I know Florida Atlantic has made noise in the tournament, but I still like Northwestern in the Big Ten. Physical play. I think they've had tougher competition throughout the season. I like Northwestern to get the job done in that. Then we all know 5 versus 12 seed. It's always right for at least one or two upsets. And drum roll.
Hold on, wait. We got an official drum roll for you. Go ahead.
The drum roll's tired. All right, I do my own sound effects like the guy from Police Academy movies. UAB, who's had lots of success in this tournament before, pulling off upsets, they will knock off San Diego State, 12 seed versus a 5 seed. It happens every year, at least once. It's going to happen here. I'm going with UAB to win that.
All right.
And then now this is, always an interesting matchup. I love rooting for the underdog. You know me, my favorite movie is Rocky. I love Rudy, all the underdog stories. But 13 seed Yale coming from the Ivy League. I'd love to see them make a run in this tournament. Sometimes these Ivy League schools, they look dangerous for a little while, but it's just hard to pick them. They very rarely win a game in this tournament. I think number 4 seed Auburn Tigers, they're going to beat Yale. Yale hanging close for a while. but I think Auburn will pull away. Just Auburn in the SEC, much better competition. I feel bad. I wish the Ivy League schools back in the day, they used to make long runs in this tournament. They used to go all the way to the championship game, but it's not going to happen here. Auburn will knock off Yale pretty easily, so I'll go with the 4 seed there. Then, if you go down there, we're going to have the 6 seed BYU versus Duquesne. I'm actually going with an upset here. I'm going with Duquesne. They're coming out of Pittsburgh. They're going to knock off BYU. I just think Duquesne is a tough, hard-nosed team. They've been playing well to get into this tournament. I think Duquesne is BYU is right for the picking for an upset. Duquesne's going to knock them off in round one. Then 3 seed versus a 14 seed. I'm going with the Illini. Illinois, the Big Ten champions, physical style play of basketball in the Big Ten. They went on a hot streak. I think a lot of times it matters. It's hard to snap your fingers and flip the switch. They've been playing well, especially going on that run in the Big Ten championship in that tournament last week. Illinois is ready to win, and they're going to make a run in this tournament, and they're going to easily knock off Morehead State. Then for the 7 versus 10 seed matchup, that's always pretty evenly matchup. But I'm going to go with Washington State here. I just think they're a little bit better, better competition in their conference. Drake, little engine that could, a tiny school.
Drake.
You never know. Yeah, I'm thinking of Drake, the rapper from the Degrassi fame from back in the day.
Yeah.
And then usually anything Drake picks, the rapper, you want to pick the other side because he usually gambles lots of money and he gambles very wrong. So that's usually like they say the curse of Drake when he picks you to win a boxing fight or a basketball championship. Besides when Toronto, the Raptors, his hometown team, won the championship over Golden State 5 years ago, Drake usually is the curse of death when he picks you to win. And then I always think of Drake from Seinfeld, hate the Drake, and Drake's Coffee Cakes. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. But I'm going to still say, Drake's a small school. You always see these schools, they can pull off an upset in this tournament, and this wouldn't be a big shock if they did, but I'm going to go to Washington State here. And then the last pick, I'm going to go easily here. I'm going to go with Iowa State to knock off South Dakota State. 2 versus 15 matchup. It's happened before. I just think Iowa State's way better. South Dakota State would be a hell of an upset, and I like to go with upsets. I go a lot with the 12 seed over the 5 seed, but that's a little too far for me to go. So my picks are UConn, Northwestern, UAB, Auburn, Duquesne, Illinois, Washington State, and Iowa State on that east region of the bracket.
All right, and you know what? Bring us through, because what I'm going to do is now I'm going to write yours on the side here, and then we'll clear it, and I'll write mine on my side. So bring us through here. You got us to the round of 32. You got UConn versus Northwestern, UAB versus Auburn, Duquesne versus Illinois, and Washington State versus Iowa State. Bring us to the next portion of the bracket. Who makes the Sweet 16? And bring us all the way to your Final Four of the East. So we'll go right through it in succession. I'll put it right here on the screen for everybody to see.
All right.
So go ahead.
All right. I'm going to go with UConn beating Northwestern still, the juggernaut. Northwestern, they can be dangerous, but I'm going to still say UConn's going to win to get to the Sweet 16. They dominated teams in their 6 games in the tournament last year, winning that national title. It was almost like NBA versus like Little League, Pee Wee basketball, whatever the version of kid basketball is. And UConn, I expect to do more of that and more of the same. Then the other set, I'm going to go with Auburn knocking off UAB, so they will get to the Sweet 16. Auburn, I just think, is the dangerous team there, and UAB only has enough juice to pull off one upset. My other matchup here, I'm going to go with Illinois, the Fighting Illini. Duquesne's glass slipper is going to crack. Duquesne is going to have that nice win in round 1, but Illinois, too much firepower, playing red hot. Illinois is going to knock off Duquesne and go to the Sweet 16.
All right.
And then my last one on the bottom there, I'm going to go with Washington State to knock off Iowa State to get to the Sweet 16. And that will be, now we're down to 16 here.
Yeah, so you have your 4 coming out of here. So in the East, we have Ross has UConn, Auburn, Illinois, and Washington State. So now, who makes it to the Elite 8? Who's the Final 4?
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Elite 8. We're going to go with UConn knocking off Auburn to go to the Elite 8. Again, UConn. I know anything could happen, but UConn, I just think they're made to dominate this tournament. So they're going to easily beat Auburn. We're going to go with Illinois, staying hot, knocking off Washington State pretty easily. So they go to the Elite 8.
Okay.
And then for my who's going to the Final Four? Illinois versus UConn. Can Illinois pull off the upset? I think they're going to scare the heck out of UConn Huskies. But in the end, I still can't bet against UConn. I think Coach Hurley has this team rolling. UConn is probably my only lock, and I could be dead wrong. Could be dead wrong after a couple of days in this tournament. UConn's my only lock in this tournament for sure to make the Final Four. UConn will knock off Illinois in a tough Elite Eight matchup that will scare them a little bit, but UConn will be going to the Final Four once again this year.
Ross has the UConn Huskies coming out of the East bracket. Let's clear up this screen and get you to my side here and what I have with my bracket as we clear the board. And once again, this is our wonderful bracket unveiling we've done for more than 10 years. It's called The Drive, with a capital D for my name and a capital R for Ross's name. The Drive, proudly presented by Great Lakes Honda City. Make sure you get out to Great Lakes Honda City in Liverpool today to find your next ride. My picks for the East bracket, we're going to go down the line here as we did with Ross. Stetson, baby, I felt good about them getting in, and they did get in, and I'm happy that they got in. But even though they're in, I got them coming out quick. Stetson coming from the great state of Florida.
Have the courage, Dad. You know you want to pick Stetson. And by the way, before we continue, I just want to say, and we talked about this off air, I still feel the first 2 days of this tournament, where you have college basketball from 12 p.m., way past midnight, way past our bedtime, especially me with little kids at home, and you're always busy as well, and I'm exhausted. It's the greatest 2 days in this whole tournament, and probably in all sports. Is for Thursday and Friday when all 64 teams are still in it, from 12 p.m. past midnight, over 12 hours of basketball. It's a delight to watch. I love to watch the upsets, the Cinderella teams, and all the great storylines. And these first 2 days, it's still good, the tournament, but Thursday and Friday when everyone's still in it and there's whole day of basketball, those to me are the two best days in the whole tournament and probably the whole calendar year for sports fans.
Yeah, listen, I'm very excited about this, and these are my two favorite days of the actual bracket. This is what I love to do. It's what I love. I will sit all day long, and I'm going to be watching basketball from noon to past midnight today. The only thing that may find its way to stop me is if I go see that new Ghostbusters movie. But besides that, and
I'm excited about Ghostbusters. The only
too.
thing that's going to stop me is I have a baseball practice today at 4 o'clock. So I will be checking my phone while I'm hitting ground balls and throwing batting practice. But I still want to watch the basketball even when I'm conducting practice at Luzerne.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, so I'm excited. I know Ross said have the courage after Ross picked UConn. But
but you have the courage, not me. You have the courage.
Oh, there's going to be some courageous moments, trust. But I'm going to go with UConn to win this one. I covered UConn throughout their run through the tournament. Actually went with my dad to Albany, and first time I ever got to sit in the stands of an NCAA tournament game with my dad. Normally I'm working the game, and I was still working these games, getting to do the calls and stuff after, but I sat in the crowd with my dad, watched the game with my dad, enjoyed the game, and talked about the game with my dad. We were in Albany. We saw UConn come out of Albany and Miami come out of Albany. So the first time that my dad and I ever went to an NCAA tournament game together, we saw 50% of the Final Four and the national champion. Pretty cool. So maybe you got to be where me and my dad are this NCAA tournament season to find out who's going to make it. But I'm going to go with UConn. I covered Mr. Hurley and his crew, and just a big both of the Hurley brothers, and just very proud to see UConn in the Big East. I still miss the Big East. I still cover the Big East, and I want to thank everybody, including John Paquette in the Big East office, that have been absolutely tremendous. I did Big East Media Day this year and got to go over to Madison Square Garden and do Media Day, and that was absolutely incredible. So everything in the Garden is really cool. Next one that we got coming up here, I'm going with FAU. The American Athletic Conference has been absolutely disrespected, and FAU is going to let a brother know what they're all about. Dusty May is a tremendous coach, and the whole thing last year was, are they going to be able to keep him at FAU? And you know what? If you've ever been to FAU in Boca, I was just there recently, they call it winning in paradise. They have signs to the beach on their campus. So FAU is going to keep it rolling and keep those skies sunny as they move on to face off against UConn. Next one, San Diego State and UAB. Baby girl Lisa, let me tell you something. San Diego State and the entire Mountain West got a whole lot of love from the committee. The committee was all about them, and all year long, the NET. You didn't have to play anybody in your non-conference schedule. All you had to do was go undefeated against quad 4 teams. That's all that mattered. And I have nothing against the Mountain West. I would say this about any conference. They decided this year that they like the Mountain West. They haven't liked them a lot in the past. And other times where I would have argued the Mountain West to get teams in, this year I scratched my head at how many got in. But here we are, and we have UAB facing off against San Diego State. And guess what, folks? Also from the American Athletic Conference, only 2 teams in the American put in the same bracket. Why? So that they can knock each other out. That was the whole point. It's like, hey, we're going to let you in, and if you win, we're going to punish the conference. I'm going with UAB. We have not seen a good showing in the first 4 of the Mountain West, and I think UAB is going to continue that here as they get a victory. The Blazers moving on. And then Auburn against Yale. Woo, baby, this is a good one. Auburn out of the SEC, and Yale is a monster. The Ivy League is dangerous. Who wants to play the Ivy League? Not many. And the Ivy League has found a way to get it done and do some really cool things. I told you, Ross, I'm going to be courageous. Look at that. Yale moving on in this game.
They're going for it.
Yale.
All the Gilmore Girl fans, like my wife, loves Rory Gilmore, went to Yale, the Bulldogs. You're going to make them very happy today with that pick.
Yeah, so Yale going with a 12-seeded UAB against a 13-seeded Yale. If you think I'm crazy, things like that happened last year. Now, BYU and Duquesne. BYU, a team that was a part of the West Coast Conference. Independent football, part of the West Coast. Now they're part of the Big 12. They're playing Duquesne, and Duquesne is a dangerous team. And Duquesne comes from Pittsburgh, and Duquesne is going to win this game.
Oh, yeah.
We're going with Duquesne as another one. I got an 11, a 12, and a 13 rising out of this bracket, folks. I told you to buckle up, baby. It's going to be a fun episode of The Drive this year. And then we're going to go back to the higher seed here and go with Illinois moving on out of the Big Ten and moving on here. Illinois has had some good moments in their history. I remember watching them with my grandma. I think it was in the tournament back in the day, watching it in her kitchen. And I've got the Fighting Illini moving on. Feel pretty good about them this year. Washington State and Drake. I mean, this for me, the Pac-12, they've been getting love in the college football world. They've been getting love in the college basketball world because they're going away. And they're going away in this one. Drake is going to win this game. The number 10 seed moving on, the Drake team. Now, Drake found a way. They won their conference tournament. This is a team that I don't think you want to mess with in the round of 64. That's why I have them moving on. South Dakota State, they are a dangerous team too. I'm telling you this, folks. This bracket is full of potential upset alerts. And we've seen all season long this season, from the first week of basketball, there have been NCAA tournament March Madness upsets that happen in November, December time of this 2023-24 men's basketball Division I season. So Iowa State is facing off against South Dakota State. Could it happen again? Could it be? Could it be? Folks, I'm going to go with Iowa State. I do think that South Dakota State's going to put up a fight in this game, and I would love to see them win, and my heart is with South Dakota State. I actually have a Jackrabbits t-shirt from many, many, many years ago, and I'll be rocking that, but I'm going to pick Iowa State here as an impartial broadcaster. Next one up here, I'm going to go with UConn to move on because they can. UConn, to me, is just, they are a very dangerous team. They're the team that I consider, next to Houston, probably the most dangerous on paper team, but I think UConn's got a shot. They really do. And then looking at UAB and Yale, this is going to be a tough game, man. I can definitely see Hurley talking about Yale in the pregame press conference. I can see this happening. Do I go with a 13? Do I go with a 12? Where do I lie in this? I'm going to go with... this is tough.
Let's go with Yale. Let's go with Yale.
This is very tough. This is very tough for me. Very, very tough. I'm going to go with Yale because I could see it happening.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to go with Yale to the Sweet 16. Shout out to the Ivy League. And I also a suggestion to the Ivy League. you should probably stand up against hate. I heard it's a good thing to do. Duquesne versus Illinois. Illinois, going to go with them to move on here. The Fighting Illini will move on as they did in Ross's bracket. I have them moving on over Duquesne in my bracket. And then we have Drake versus Iowa State. I'm going to go with Iowa State to move on here. And so Iowa State will move into the Sweet 16, which brings us to the Elite Eight matchups of UConn and Yale, Illinois and Iowa State. I'm going to go with UConn, and I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini. So even though our brackets are drastically different, sometimes they end up being similar here. So I'm going to go with UConn, and I'm going to go with Illinois, and I am picking UConn to come out of this bracket and return to the Final Four. And with that being said, let's clear the board, and we will send you now to the south side of things in this bracket as we move out of the East. And once again, folks, if you miss anything, our brackets will be completed right here in the studio for your viewing pleasure at the end. We have now moved to the South bracket. Ross, bring us through the South.
All right, in the South, we're going to go with 1 seed Houston, who I was surprised wasn't able to go as deep in the tournament as I thought last year. I think both of us last year had them going. I think I had them going all the way last year, and they fell short.
I had Houston winning.
Yep. Yeah, I did too. So I was a little disappointed that they fell short of it last year. I think this is their redemption tour. I think Houston is on a mission, the Cougars. Houston will easily crush number 16 Longwood. Then we're going to go with the 8-9 matchup. Always could be a toss-up here, Nebraska versus Texas A&M. I'm going to go with Nebraska. The Cornhuskers playing some solid basketball. They'll knock off the Aggies from Texas A&M.
Okay.
All right, now it's always tough. 5 versus 12 seed. You know, I picked UAB. So did you in the last region. This one, I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I just like them out of the Big Ten. I think they're just a stronger play than James Madison. You know, Big Ten schools, they play physical basketball, strong defense, tough rebound, and just like all those great Tom Izzo Michigan State teams for all those years, I'll go with Wisconsin to survive a scare from 12-seeded James Madison, but Wisconsin survives to the next round.
Okay.
And then the 4 versus 13 matchup, the Duke Blue Devils. Of course, Mike Krzyzewski's been gone for the last 2 years as head coach. They're not quite what they were in Vermont. All you Syracuse fans know from about 20 years ago, they pulled off the upset against Jerry McNamara and those Syracuse Orange. So Vermont is dangerous. Plus, it's the land of Bernie Sanders, who's one of my favorite guys. I just love the way I love impersonating him. I love Larry David. When he impersonates Bernie Sanders, he's a cool guy. So Vermont, with all the maple syrup and all the great stuff of Vermont, they're dangerous in this tournament. You know that, Syracuse fans. I'm still, as much as I'd like to pull the trigger and say Vermont's going to win, I'm going to say the Duke Blue Devils survive a scare from Vermont. Duke advances to round number 2. Then the 6 versus 11 matchup. We got Texas Tech versus NC State. I'm going to go with NC State, the 11th seed, an upset over the 6-seeded Texas Tech. The Red Raiders. NC State, they've been playing red hot. They went on a great run all the way to winning that ACC championship in that tournament last week. They got red hot right when they needed to. And NC State, I think, a lot of these teams, if they went into the tournament on a roll, they will carry that momentum and they will be able to knock off Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Now, the 3-seed Kentucky, the Wildcats with John Calipari versus 14-seed Oakland. Kentucky has not been what Kentucky has been over the years. They've had struggles these last few years. I think Calipari struggles with the one-and-done rule because he goes after some of these elite talents, and they're not usually mature enough to get it done in the tournament. They don't have that veteran leadership they can lean on in a bit, winner take all, win or go home situation. But they'll be able to survive at least round 1. They'll knock off Oakland. I'll go with the Wildcats in round 1.
All right. And
then the 7 versus 10 matchup. We know Colorado knocked off Boise State yesterday with their blue field for football. So Deion Sanders, of course, the head coach for Colorado Buffaloes for football. This is for basketball, though. So it's going to be Florida versus Colorado. I'm going to say Florida is going to knock off Colorado. The Florida Gators in the SEC, they've played tougher basketball all year long. I think that they can knock off Colorado and move on to round 2.
Go Gators.
And then to finish the bottom of my bracket, and I love this team. Sometimes they don't get it done, but I believe in them just like I always believe in Gonzaga. In this tournament, Marquette, they go on great runs in this tournament coming out of the Big East. They will knock off Western Kentucky. Marquette is dangerous year after year. pretty much ever since like Dwayne Wade was on the team like 20 years ago, 21 years ago in '03 is last year before he went in the draft with LeBron James and Chris Bosh. Marquette is dangerous in this tournament. They always find ways to win. They have good 3-point shooting. They're just a pest out there. No matter who they play, they find ways to win. Come March, during the madness of March, Marquette will easily win in round number 1.
All right, so we have Ross's bracket here that will send us into the round of 32. Ross, bring us through Sweet 16, Elite 8, and who will make it out of the South bracket in the 2024 NCAA Men's Division I basketball tournament.
All right. Well, I'll go with Houston, the Cougars, to knock off Nebraska. Houston, again, they're on that redemption tour. They're going to crush Nebraska. They're on a mission this year, so they move on to the Sweet 16. Duke, Wisconsin could go either way. I love the Wisconsin. They go on great runs this tour. I love their physical play. But I'm going to say the Duke Blue Devils have a little run in them. Not a long run, but they'll get to the Sweet 16. Duke knocks off Wisconsin. I know Syracuse fans, you don't want to hear when Duke does well in the tournament, but they think they'll win. Yeah, it's kind of like with Notre Dame or Yankees. You either love them or hate them, the Duke Blue Devils. All right, so now you have a tough matchup. You have NC State versus Kentucky. This one's tough because I wanna keep going with NC State. They're a red hot team. They're a Cinderella team. They keep winning. But in the end, I don't think they'll go on a super long run. But I think John Calipari's Kentucky Wildcats have enough firepower and enough talent. They'll be able to knock off NC State, and the clock will strike midnight for NC State. They will be knocked out. I'll go with Kentucky to beat them to move on to the round of 16.
All right.
And then my last one for that one will be Florida versus Marquette. As I told you, Marquette rolls in this tournament. They find ways to win, whether it be ugly, whether it's blowouts, close games. They win. Marquette will knock off the Florida Gators out of the SEC. Marquette moves on to the round of 16, and they'll play Kentucky next.
Houston versus Duke, Kentucky versus Marquette. Bring us through your South.
All right. Well, in the I'm going to go with Houston in the Sweet 16 and knock off the Duke Blue Devils. I think, again, too much firepower, and they know what they missed out on last year, so they are going to be laser focused on what they need to get done. They knock off the Duke Blue Devils to move on to the Elite Eight. Okay. And then my other matchup to get to the Elite Eight, I'll go with Marquette to knock off Kentucky. John Calipari's team fails again to make the Final Four. Has had struggles these last few years making deep runs in the tournament. Marquette continues their role. They knock off Kentucky to face Houston in the Elite Eight.
And your Final Four. Drum roll for the South.
I'll go with the Houston Cougars. They are, again, a man on a mission. Marquette will scare them. They'll give them everything they want and more. And Marquette could easily win this game. But I think the Houston Cougars, they're a better team. They got the talent and they got the experience, good and bad experience over the tournament run last year that didn't go their way. They will be ready to go, and they will not take it for granted. The Cougars will knock off Marquette to go to the Final Four, just like the UConn Huskies did in the other bracket.
Yep, there you go. So that's Ross's version of the South bracket. My version of the South bracket coming up right now here in our bracket unveiling that we like to call on Wake Up Call The Drive, with a capital D for my name and a capital R for Ross's name. Proudly presented by Great Lakes Honda City. Head over there today and drive off with your new or used vehicle. You can find out more information about Great Lakes Honda City by simply going to this website. The website to easily click on here is GreatLakesHondaCity.com. That's GreatLakesHondaCity.com, the proud presenter of this edition of The Drive. So once again, I'm going to put the thing right here for you. So GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Make sure you go there and check them out. With that being said, it is time for me to bring you the South part of my bracket. Let's have some fun with this. In the Dirty South, let's see what we got. So I'm going to go with Houston to come out of here. Houston, as you know, folks, I did a little thing last year that, for those of you that saw the movie Draft Day, and I do want to note somebody that said this to me a couple days ago, that they said, shout out for you for using the Draft Day reference. I said that I had written on a napkin, I wrote Houston no matter what. And that's who I had last year. And if you watch Draft Day, it's Vontae Mack no matter what, to the late Chadwick Boseman. God bless him in heaven, as I know the Black Panthers watching over us. So I'm going with the Houston Cougars in this one. I still continue to believe Houston's dangerous. Some of you finally realized Houston was a basketball team because when they were in the American Athletic Conference, you didn't want to hear anything about them. Now that they're in the Big 12, beating Kansas by 30, folks, in the regular season finale, yet Kansas is still a 4 seed. We'll talk about that garbage in a minute. But Houston don't have no problem. Houston will move on here into the round of 32. The next piece that I have for you is going to be Nebraska against Texas A&M. Both of these teams did not win their conference tournaments. They both get in because, well, they're in the Big Ten and the SEC. So when you look at these two going up against each other, who will make it to face off against the Houston Cougars? That will be those that husk corn for a living. We're going to go with the Nebraska Cornhuskers to move on here into the round of 32. Next matchup that we have here, Wisconsin and James Madison, the 5-12, a dangerous one. Some people picking James Madison, and I think some people might be picking James Madison to go pretty far in this. The guy that was almost hired to be the head coach of the Syracuse Orange, he's the James Madison football coach now. So just let it be known about that. There's been some, that was one of those things. And then when I think about James Madison, I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on James Madison because of that whole head coach. Could have been at Syracuse. Now he's there, Bob Chesney. And so for James Madison University, Wisconsin is that team, and I tell people this every year. If I pick them, they lose. If I don't pick them, they go really far. So I'm going to not bust my bracket. I'm going to go ahead and pick Wisconsin to move on here into the next round. And then we'll jump into Duke and Vermont. Yes, Ross is absolutely correct. Vermont was a terror to Syracuse because they were nailing threes when Syracuse was playing a 2-3 zone, and Jim Boeheim was too stubborn to come out of it. I'm going to pick the Duke Blue Devils to move on. They're flying under the radar. John Shire's in only his second year. They've already won an ACC title in the ACC tournament last season, and Duke is not to be messed with. Texas Tech against NC State. I believe in the Pack. Go Pack, go. The NC State Wolfpack will be moving on here after winning the ACC tournament. They were not getting in to the NCAA tournament by any stretch of the imagination. NC State had a losing record inside of the ACC, and now seeing them go through this whole thing to beat North Carolina and for Raleigh, North Carolina to be focused, not Chapel Hill, that says a lot about the NC State Wolfpack, who caught fire, blew out Syracuse, and then continued to win all the way through. And they had to play from day one. They were not a high seed in the ACC, folks. They were 9-11 in the ACC this season. Had a losing record, but found a way to win. They get an 11 seed. I think their seed should have been a little bit better, but I'm going to go with NC State. Kentucky and Oakland, I'm going with Kentucky. Another team that's flown under the radar. I think some people forget that John Calipari is still coaching, but I'm going to go with the Kentucky Wildcats to win this game and move forward, at least through this round. And then Florida will face off against Colorado after Colorado won in the first four in Dayton. I'm going with the Gators. Florida Gators will be moving on here. This is an SEC-centric bracket and Big Ten bracket. There's a lot of SEC and Big Ten in here. And I'm going to go with the Marquette Golden Eagles to win their game here and move forward as Marquette will step into the round of 32, which brings us to the Sweet 16. And I'm going to go with the Houston Cougars over Nebraska's Cornhuskers here. Houston continues to move on. I think if Houston didn't lose out of the tournament, didn't win if they had won the Big 12 tournament, I think that some people might have had them as the number one overall seed. But Houston Cougars here moving on. Wisconsin versus Duke. Got to pick Duke in this one because, like I said, I don't trust Wisconsin, whether I pick them or I don't. But I do trust John Shire and what he's doing with the Duke Blue Devils. And then next up, NC State and Kentucky. Man, NC State are going to give them hell. They're going to give them some hell. That's what's going to happen. So the Wolfpack against the Wildcats. And folks, how am I going to pick this one? Well, I work with the Wildcat Sports Pub, so let's go with Kentucky. That's not why I'm picking them. I just wanted to shout out the Wildcat. But Kentucky going up against NC State, I think that NC State is going to have some fire, but I think, like Ross, I think that it will eventually run out here, and I'm going to go with the Kentucky Wildcats to move on. And then the Marquette Golden Eagles going up against Florida. Marquette, man, I thought last year with Shaka Smart they would make a little bit more of a run. They did not. hopefully this year they'll prove me right and they will be moving on to the Sweet 16. The Marquette Golden Eagles finally got to interview Shaka Smart after many years of waiting, bumping into him at an airport and having him go from VCU to Texas to Marquette and then getting to speak with him during Big East Media Day is one of the things that I want to thank God for, among many things. Houston over Duke and Marquette over Kentucky, as we have Houston and Marquette will be playing for the rights to go to the Final Four. And my Final Four, as much as I respect Marquette, I'm going to stick with the team that I have believed in last year, and I continue to believe in this year, and I believed in the year before. I'm going with the Houston Cougars to make it to the Final Four. Ross, please bring us down, or I should say over, to the Midwest. What do you have for us in the Midwest bracket as we switch gears here out of the East, out of the South, and into Purdue, the number one seed? I tell people this all the time. I say, go ahead and make Purdue a number one seed. Go ahead and do that again. All right, Ross, what do you got?
Well, you know how well that worked out last year for Purdue. They have probably the best player in college basketball. They thought he was going to leave last year after the tournament and the player of the year, but he came back for another year to get some vengeance, just like Houston and some of the other teams that are trying to redeem themselves. It's interesting. Like I don't think it will happen. I don't think lightning will strike twice where a one seed will get knocked off back-to-back years. The same exact team losing to a 16 seed. But Grambling State, who won their playing game, they're a heck of a story. They're an HBCU school that is never, I don't think has ever been in the tournament before, the March Madness tournament, and they've gone on a heck of a run. And then to win their playing game, which counts as an NCAA tournament win, first time winning a tournament game, and get here, they're playing with the house money. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to work hard, and they might scare Purdue a little bit. But I think in the end, Purdue has too much talent. They can't overlook anyone because especially what happened last year. They're a number one seed for a reason. But you saw how that worked last year. You would think their top player, this is probably it for him, I would think. That they'll want to wash that bad taste out of their mouth, that sour taste in their mouth. So I'm rooting for Grambling State to scare the heck out of Purdue, the Boilermakers, and go on a little run here and make it dangerous. I think Grambling State will scare them early, but I think Purdue pulls away late. So I'm going to go with Purdue to beat Grambling State. Then with the 8-9 matchup, and that one is usually could go either way. It's not really an upset either way, but I'm going to go with TCU. They'll knock off Utah State. I think TCU just a little bit better. The Horned Frogs, they just got a little more firepower than Utah State, so I'll go with them. 5 versus 12 seed. You know it could go either way, but a lot of times the 12 seed knocks over the 5. But Gonzaga, who's always been my darling in this tournament, but they always fall just a little bit short. They get to the Final Four, they get to the Elite Eight, they get to the championship game, they just can't get over the top. Mark Few has been a great coach. Ever since like 1999 when this all started with Gonzaga, they were the little engine that could. And now they've become a powerhouse year after year, but people are getting frustrated and bored with them because they're like, when are you going to win a championship? But he's taking them on deep runs all the way to the championship game. But Gonzaga, I think, will avoid the upset. They'll knock off McNeese. I'll go with Gonzaga to win pretty easily as the 5 seed here. Then Kansas versus Samford. I'm going to go with Kansas, the 4 seed. I know they've not been playing great basketball. Bill Self, though, is a heck of a coach. He will get this team ready to play. They have a lot more firepower, and they will be able to easily knock off Samford coming out of the Big 12. So I'll go with Kansas there. South Carolina versus Oregon, 6 versus 11 seed. That could go either way, but I'm going to go with Oregon here. I'm going to go a little bit of an upset. I'm going to say the Oregon Ducks, quack, quack, quack. They find a way to knock off the South Carolina Gamecocks. Oregon is going to win and move on to round number 2. 3 versus 14 matchup, Creighton versus Akron. I'm going to go with Creighton here. Creighton is very similar to Marquette. They're a little, kind of a small school that gets overlooked. Creighton goes on these runs, and they're dangerous in the tournament in March Madness. It's like a Tom Izzo team, Michigan State. You can never overlook Marquette or Creighton. It doesn't always work out, but they always find ways to go on runs when you at least expect it. I'm going to go with Creighton to knock off Akron, and they will move on to round number 2. 7 versus 10 matchup. It's going to be Texas. Of course, we know Colorado State. Colorado State knocked off Virginia, and ever since Virginia won that national title after they were the first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed, they've had their head coach is the same name as the late great musician Tony Bennett. They've had lots of struggles in this tournament, the Virginia Cavaliers, and Colorado State knocked them off. But in the end, Colorado State, as much as they played great and blew out Virginia, which was a surprise to me, that as bad as Virginia had was looking, I did not expect it to be a blowout. I still think Texas. I think the Texas Longhorns, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right. He's going to be very excited, and I think Texas is going to win. And then my last matchup in that in this seeds, it's going to be Tennessee versus St. Peter's, the 15 seed. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Volunteers, and Tennessee just way better team. A lot more firepower there. They're going to be able to wipe the floor with St. Peter's. I'm going to go with Tennessee to win by blowout to move on to the round of 32.
So Ross has brought us to our 32. Bring us to our Sweet 16 of the Midwest.
All right, so then for the Sweet 16, I'm going to go with Purdue Boilermakers. They're going to try to redeem themselves here. I'm going to say they're going to knock off TCU, the Horned Frogs. Purdue's going to be able to go on that run. They have the talent. They just need to find a way to get it done and learn from their mistakes in the previous years. But Purdue will get it done, at least to go to the Sweet 16. They'll knock off TCU. Then Gonzaga, who's only a 5 seed but has gone on great runs, they will play Kansas, the 4 seed. I'm going to say they knock off Bill Self's Kansas Jayhawks team. Kansas has struggled a lot this year, and I think Gonzaga, this is their time to shine in the tournament. And I don't know if this is their year. It'd be a shock if this is their year as a 5 seed, but Mark Few has this team ready to roll. Very similar to a Tom Izzo team. It's very hard to pick against Gonzaga in this tournament. Gonzaga is going to knock off Kansas to move on to the round of 16. Then Oregon versus Creighton. This one could go either way. I think this could be dangerous, but I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going to go with the Oregon Ducks, 11 seed. After beating South Carolina, the 6 seed will knock off the 3 seed Creighton. Creighton, their run will come to an end. I think the Oregon Ducks, they're showing Ducks fly together, Mighty Ducks fame. Get that quack on, and the Oregon Ducks are going to move on to the round of 16. And who will they play? Drum roll. Tennessee versus Texas. I'm going to go with Tennessee. Coach Pearl and his Tennessee Volunteers, they're ready to go. They're playing good basketball. They'll knock off the Texas Longhorns and move on to the round of 16 to play Oregon.
And so with that being said, we now have our 4 remaining from this bracket, the Midwest, for Ross, as we bring you our unveiling of the 2024 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Tournament brackets and what we call the Drive. D for my name, R for Ross's, the Drive. And the Drive is proudly presented to you by Great Lakes Honda City. Head to greatlakeshondacity.com for more information, and you can head yourself right over to Great Lakes Honda City here in Central New York. And it is an easy drive to 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York, from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny, USA area, downtown, as well as North Syracuse and the Liverpool area. Head over to Great Lakes Honda City today. Get the information that you need on your next vehicle. I've trusted Great Lakes Honda City, the former Honda City of Liverpool, for many, many years, over a decade, and I want to thank them for all the work that they're doing. Ross will now take us through Purdue versus Gonzaga, Oregon versus Tennessee. Who will make it to the Elite Eight?
All right. You know my love for Gonzaga. I have a distrust of Purdue after what I saw last year and the times this year. Purdue, they're going to get knocked out. They're going to at least get to round 16. So it's better than last year getting knocked out by a 16 seed. But Purdue and their star player, the number 15, is going to be his last college basketball game. They're going to get knocked out by the Zags. Mark Few and Gonzaga, they're going to keep going on a roll. They find ways to win this tournament. They're going to knock off Purdue and go on to the Elite Eight. Then my other matchup, Oregon, who's gone on a Cinderella run in my tournament, beating South Carolina and Creighton as an 11 seed, getting all the way to the Sweet 16. Their glass slipper will shatter and break. Clock strikes midnight for them. I think the Tennessee Volunteers, better team, more firepower, just will be able to score a lot of points against Oregon. They will knock off the Oregon Ducks. Tennessee will move on to the Elite Eight to take on Gonzaga.
And your final 4 member coming from the Midwest.
You know what's going to happen. Tennessee Volunteers as the 2 seed. It's time to go home because you're facing Gonzaga. And Gonzaga, they don't win it all the time. They don't win the whole thing, the whole shebang. But they get close. They get to the Final Four. They make deep runs in this tournament. Mark Few Gonzaga, this is his time to shine. You're in his path, and he's a big steamrolling truck, and he's going to run you over. That's what's going to happen to Tennessee Volunteers. Gonzaga, the Zags, they're going to knock off Tennessee and make another trip to the Final Four. They just keep getting it done. Congrats to Mark Few and Gonzaga. I just love to see it. And one day in our lifetime, I hope Mark Few gets to cut down the nets, not on another program, but hopefully for Gonzaga, I guess finally get that sweet taste of victory to win the whole thing, but they will get to the Final Four this year once again.
Coming out of the Midwest bracket for Ross, we have the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Moving forward here in the 2024 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Tournament. On my side here in the Midwest, as we have Ross's bracket 3/4 the way full, we will head to my Midwest bracket. And Purdue going up against, I mean, folks, I got to tell you, if you didn't know, I was born a Grambling man. So we have Grambling State going up against Purdue. And if I was a Grambling man, I might have to bet on.
Will a 16 seed beat a 1 seed 2 years in a row?
I'm telling you right now, for those of you that did not watch the game last night, you need to go back and check your DVR, do whatever you got to do. Go on to YouTube, watch the highlights at the least. Montana State and Grambling State gave us an Elite Eight type of game in the first four. And I've been down to Dayton for the first four. And I got to tell you, the Dayton Arena on the University of Dayton's campus, very nice. I got to tell you, the atmosphere is awesome. And the first four has some really cool matchups. This game felt like it was a game that was deep into the tournament. Purdue against Grambling State. Could they do it? Could Purdue get knocked out again? Do you make them a number 1 seed? You bring them. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't care what any Purdue fan says. If they watched that Grambling State game last night, they're thinking to themselves, out of anyone that we could have gotten in the first round, wow.
You know they're shaking in their boots. They're nervous after what happened last year, and then last night in Grambling State. They're scared about this match.
Oh, yeah. They're saying, does the committee hate us? Why are they giving us these teams? So when you look at Grambling State, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, I want to go on record of saying that Grambling State is going to make this a game. They are not going to be an easy out. They played well. They did things that I haven't seen teams do in a long time. I want Syracuse to go talk to Grambling State's coach and student athletes and learn a thing or two about a thing or two. Grambling State, Purdue. Folks, I want to put my foot on the gas here in the drive, and I just want to hit it. I just want to hit it all the way to Grambling State. I want to do it.
But your car stalled out. Your car stalled out on the highway. You can't go all the way there. You just can't do it.
I want to do it. I want to do it. But let's see if Purdue can win a game in the NCAA tournament. I'm going to go with the Purdue Boilermakers to move forward in this. But I'm telling you, folks, this Grambling State game, I want to be on record as saying, if Grambling State wins, do not forget that I told you that's going to be a game. So next one that comes up here, Utah State and TCU. Man, I looked at Utah State's schedule, and they're like, oh, they got some quad one wins. They played 2 ranked teams. They were both in the Mountain West. They didn't play any ranked teams in non-conference and beat them. Utah State's at the top of the Mountain West, but there's this team called TCU, and them Horned Frogs, they know how to live in the desert. They know how to survive. They have different ways of helping themselves just stay healthy in the desert. Have you met a horned frog in real life? It's terrifying. So how would I know? I haven't. I'm just speaking from National Geographic and stuff. Gonzaga, I'm going with the Bulldogs to win this game against McNeese. They set up Gonzaga to fail in this game. They gave them McNeese State, and they thought, okay, maybe they'll trip up, and maybe they will trip up, and there's a chance that Gonzaga could lose this game. I'm telling you right now, folks, this McNeese game is not a walk in the park. They're trying to make McNeese the new Gonzaga. But I'm going to go with Gonzaga to win this. Mark Few, a dangerous man in the tournament. Kansas at Samford. Samford, baby. I got to go with Kansas, though. I got to pick the Kansas Jayhawks to do it. Bill Self signed a lifetime contract. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But I got Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks moving on here. South Kakalaki up against the Oregon Ducks. I'm with you, Ross. I'm out here quacking. So I got the Oregon Ducks here moving on in this. They're going to make one more run for the Pac-12, and they'll bump out South Carolina here in this 6-11 matchup. Creighton against Akron. Well, the worst game in Syracuse football history in my life, and maybe ever, is when Syracuse lost to Akron. If you don't know or you don't believe me, if you look at Akron's mascot, which is a zip, which is a kangaroo, the Akron Zip looks like an emaciated, and if you don't know what that means like an anorexic-looking animal that has a giant beer gut. When you get beat by an emaciated kangaroo with a giant beer gut and they start shaking their beer gut and moving it around and bouncing it in your end zone, that's probably one of the worst days you're going to see for your sports team. And this time around, the Blue Jays are going to be singing a sweeter song. Creighton will be moving on. Cover Creighton as well. Had spent some time with Creighton going into this season, and I know that Creighton is a dangerous team. I'm going with the Creighton Blue Jays to move out of the Big East and continue to show the Big East some love, even though the committee did not. Texas going up against Colorado State. Man, Virginia, 9 minutes into the first half, still looking for their first points. I'm a fan of Tony Bennett. I have respect for Tony Bennett. I love talking with Tony Bennett. He's one of my favorite coaches. One of my absolutely favorite coaches. But that game was an ugly game, and Colorado State got the win. But Texas, the Longhorns, they're going to hook them, and they're going to move on here into the round of 32 to face off against the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee, even though they're a 2 seed, I think they feel like they got a little bit snubbed. Remember, St. Peter's was a darling of this tournament in recent history, and I would love to see St. Peter's move on, but they caught a really not great matchup in the round of 64 up against Tennessee. Purdue and TC motherfreaking U. Looking at this game, can I pick Purdue? Could they win 2 games? Yeah, they got big man on campus right here on your screen, but Purdue is a team that when you make them a number 1 seed, I'm probably going to put my money down that 99.99999999999% of the time, they're not going to make it to the Final Four. So do I go with TCU or Purdue? I'm going to go with Purdue to win this game and move forward here over TCU. And then we got the Zags that are going to be going up against the Kansas Jayhawks. And do I like Gonzaga? Of course I do. Do I respect Gonzaga? Probably a lot longer than you have. But the Gonzaga Bulldogs that I've spent much of my life watching, appreciating, and bought a t-shirt back in high school supporting them from Champs Sports. This is a tough one for me because I like Mark Few. I respect him. I respect Bill Self, like what he's done with Kansas too. And, you know, it's just Gonzaga, man. It's been a difficult road this year, and I don't see their road continuing on. I'm going with the Kansas Jayhawks to move on here. It breaks my heart because Gonzaga is a team that I, in the comfort of my own home, I love. But as an impartial broadcaster, I can't see them going too far in the tournament. And then the Oregon Ducks up against the Creighton Blue Jays. I got to go with Creighton to keep their song going here, as the Blue Jays will get into the Sweet 16 to face off against none other than the only 10 I see, Tennessee Volunteers, moving forward in this. Like I said, I think Tennessee is a very dangerous 2 seed, and they got put in a bracket where they got a real shot of moving into the Final Four, which brings me to Purdue versus Kansas, which I think is going to be a huge game, big-time Sweet 16 game for all of us. Purdue and the Kansas Jayhawks, who will I have coming out of this one? Could I have Purdue? Could I trust Purdue?
No.
No, we're going Kansas. Kansas moving
They're going
on.
down.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I said they're going down, Purdue. I would not trust them to go deep in this tournament.
No, I do not. I do not trust Purdue. I'm put it to you like this: I trust one of my ex-girlfriends more than I trust Purdue right now. I'm going with and that's not a lot, folks. For those of you playing the home game, I'm going with Kansas here. It's almost 0, so I'm going to go with Kansas to move on here and make it to the Elite Eight. And then Tennessee going up against Creighton. This is going to be a game, but I'm going to pick the Tennessee Volunteers to move forward here. And Tennessee will face off against Kansas. The Jayhawks somehow, some way, have now made it to my Elite Eight. Will they make it to the Final Four? No. Tennessee Volunteers going to the Final Four here. Moving on, the number 2 seed. Again, like I told you, folks, this 2 seed of Tennessee has a sneaky line to get to the Final Four, and I think that they will because I don't trust Purdue. Gonzaga could make a run. Kansas can make a run, and Creighton is not an easy out. So Tennessee, to me, is going to make it through here because I do not trust this bracket to be chalk by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going with the Tennessee Volunteers to make it, but with my heart, I hope Gonzaga or Creighton does it because that would be a beautiful thing to see. Next thing up that we have here is the final piece of our bracket. Unveiling our brackets to you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and what Ross Turetsky and I for many years have called The Drive. D for my name and an R for Ross's name. The Drive comes to you every single year as Ross and I have unveiled our brackets since I believe back in 2011 when I came back home to Syracuse, New York. We brought you our brackets every single year, and this year is no different. The Drive, proudly presented by Great Lakes Honda City. Make sure you go to 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard and also go to greatlakeshondacity.com. If you would like to call them to set up an appointment, you can call Great Lakes Honda City by using this. Well, they're open today, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Just want to let you know. If you want to call, you call 315-979-8588. That's 315-979-8588. And if you need some service on your vehicle, call 315-954-4525. That's 315-954-4525. Get yourself out to Honda City today. They got some cool things going on with their leases in celebration of St. Patty's Day. So make your way out to Great Lakes Honda City, and we look forward to seeing you out there, as so many of you have been, and we appreciate you very much. So looking at this right now, we are now in the west part of the bracket. Ross has the opportunity to bring us through his final portion of this bracket before we get into the Final Four. To make a note here, Ross and I have 2 of our 3 Final Four the same so far. What will happen in the West bracket, where Michigan State was let in because their coach is Tom Izzo? Go ahead, Ross.
All right, 1 seed versus 16 seed. I do want to give a shout out to Wagner coming out of Staten Island, kind of a local team.
That's right.
A little engine that could underdog team. They won their playing game against Howard, so congrats to Wagner.
And where do they play? They play in the NEC with Lemoyne.
Yeah, absolutely. So that game, I think it's today at 2:45 p.m. They will take on North Carolina Tar Heels. So they're gonna. So again, it's gonna be David versus Goliath situation. It kind of reminds me of this past Sunday on St. Patty's Day on my dad's birthday. My Luzerne baseball team had to take on the national champion Rowing College of South Jersey, and it was a hard uphill battle. We tried our best, but we could see why they're national champions. They won soundly, so it's a tough matchup for them. But you always want to, hope. I always root for that underdog. That little engine could. I've always been an underdog my whole life. So Wagner, I'm rooting for you guys. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I'm from the New York area. So I'd love them as Staten Island to make a run. But I think North Carolina Tar Heels, they'll be annoyed that they fell short in the ACC championship against NC State, one of their rivals. But they'll easily win this game. They'll pull away and probably win by at least 20 to 30 points. So North Carolina's going to win. Then Mississippi State versus Michigan State, the 8 versus 9 matchup. And I know what you're saying. Michigan State really doesn't belong to be in this tournament. There's other teams that probably deserved it better. But, big butt, just like Mark Few, just like Sir Mix-a-Lot, big butts, and I can't not lie. It's hard to pick against Tom Izzo, Michigan State. I know they haven't had a great season. I know they're not the most talented Michigan State Spartan team you've seen over the years. They've been known for having very stingy defense, tough rebounding team. They'll elbow you in the face. They'll find a way to win. This has not been a great Michigan State team. But in March, not saying they're going to go on a long run, but against Mississippi State, to me, it's 8 versus 9 matchup. It's a very even matchup. It can go either way. I'm going to go with the 9 seed Michigan State. They've done this before. Tom Izzo in a close game. If this game remains close, if they get blown out, no chance. But if they keep the game close in a late situation, I trust Tom Izzo as the head coach that he'll find a way to pull this game out because he has so much experience in March Madness. Michigan State will move on to round number 2. A 5 versus 12 seed. As much as I love to see 12 seeds over 5s, I can't pick Grand Canyon over St. Mary's. Grand Canyon to me is a travel tourist destination you go to out west. I can't pick them to win here. St. Mary's usually is the team that always is playing Gonzaga tough in their conference. It's usually one of the others to go win the conference championship and making the tournament. Usually both making the tournament. I think St. Mary's the 5 seed. Maybe Grand Canyon can give them a scare. I think my only 12 versus 5 seed upset in this tournament so far was UAB to win in the first bracket we did. So I'm going to go with St. Mary's to knock off Grand Canyon. 4 seed Alabama versus 13 seed Charleston. I'm going to go with Alabama, the Crimson Tide. I know they're known as a football school, and it's going to be weird not having Nick Saban on the sidelines anymore. The head coach of Washington now is their head coach, solid young head coach. Alabama, though, they're a solid basketball team. As much as they're always going to be known as football first, just like with Notre Dame and Penn State and other schools like that, Michigan. But they have a good basketball program. They have way much more firepower, much better competition in the SEC than Charleston had to face. Alabama will easily win that. 6 seed Clemson over 11 seed New Mexico. I'm going to go with Clemson here. As much as I love as much the Joker said, I love chaos. I love to watch anarchy. I like to watch the world burn. I think last year on our drive show, we kept saying, I'd like to watch the world burn. I love to watch pick crazy upsets. Clemson, I like they got the basketball player, was it Girardi from Syracuse?
Yeah.
They got to face each other a couple times this year. So I know Syracuse fans either love him or hate him that he left his school in the transfer portal. But I think with him out there, I'm going to go with Clemson to find a way to knock off New Mexico. They'll move on to the round of 32. 3 seed Baylor versus 14 seed Colgate. Yeah, they're not facing a toothpaste company. I know when you think of Colgate, I think of toothpaste. And Colgate has been dangerous in this tournament before. In recent years, they've been in the tournament. They've scared teams. I still think Baylor's too dangerous. It's going to be too more powerful here. They'll overwhelm Colgate. Baylor will easily win this and get to the round round of 32. Then 7 seed Dayton versus 10 seed Nevada. This one can go either way, but I like Dayton better. I think Dayton, they've had better runs in recent years in the tournament. I think Dayton's a solid program. I think they're just a tough-minded team.
Did you say they have better runs? It made me think about Fat Bastard. I've had better runs in my shorts.
I like my baby Achilles, baby back ribs. Get in my belly. I need that box. I love the baby, tender baby meat.
We missed it on Nebraska. We missed it. I should have been like, I don't remember having corn.
My kids are still blown away. They're young. They're little kids. They're like, why is my corn and carrots still in my stuff in the toilet? they don't understand how it comes back home. Like, welcome to life, buddy. That's how
it finds a way. If we could figure out how corn regenerates, we could regenerate our limbs, and we could be a lot safer than the lizard tried to do things in Spider-Man. I'm just saying.
I don't know how it regenerates, but it just does. It's magic. Yeah, so now that we've grossed out the audience talking about defecation and things.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your breakfast while you listen to the show.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, our weird innuendo is gone over your head. You don't even know, you're not understand what we're talking about because you might vomit all over the place. So we don't want to ruin your Thirsty Thursday and your opening day of college basketball tournament. I don't want to ruin it for you. But Dayton, they're this injured team. They're usually a hard-nosed team. They play teams real physical. Dayton's going to go on a run here. They will knock off Nevada. Dayton, the 7 seed, will win. Then lastly, Arizona versus Long Beach State. And it isn't Long Beach State. This is a very peculiar story. Their head coach has been told he's fired. They somehow won their conference championship.
He was told he was fired, and he goes, okay, let me go win this tournament and put us in the NCAAs.
Yeah, he's like, screw it. And then you're like, would this change anything? Will they ask for him to come back? Well, Long Beach State, they're playing with house money, which is it's a hilarious story that this guy has been let go, and now he's coached them into the NCAA tournament. So I would love for Long Beach State to win. I think it would be awesome. I think the story's hilarious. It seems like something out of Seinfeld where like George Costanza tries to quit his job and then come back the next day and pretend nothing happened. Like they don't know any better. They'll forget. It's a very peculiar, weird situation right out of like Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Seinfeld fame. But I still think Arizona Wildcats, they're the better team. I'd love to see the story continue, but I think he will be put out to pasture, his crazy story. You know, I would love for them to reconsider now that he's made on this great run to the tournament in March Madness after letting him go. Arizona will easily win, and they will get to the round of 32.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look at this, man. I mean, Arizona, how many times are they on this line of being a 2 seed? And people pick them to win, to go to the Final Four, to win the entire thing, and they get bumped out at some point. What will Ross do as we head toward the Sweet 16? What do you got?
All right. So now we're going to go with North Carolina versus Michigan State. As I said, I gave Tom Izzo the benefit of the doubt against Mississippi State 8-9 matchup. He can handle that. He's not going to be high on the list. I know Tom Izzo goes on long runs, and they make a far journey.
Wait, are you saying that you don't think he's ready for this jelly? Because you just said he can't handle this, Destiny's Child. By the way, second time I made that reference this week. Continue.
He cannot. The Tar Heels and their beautiful powder blue jerseys of Michael Jordan fame back in the day, he can't handle that. This team is not good enough. They really shouldn't be in the tournament. It's because of his reputation and what he's done in the past is the only reason why they're in there. So they'll win one game, but that's it. That's
it's like putting Al Pacino in a movie because it's Al Pacino.
Yes. Whether it's horrible or not, because of his legendary past, that's why he's well known. And then Al Pacino gives away the Oscar winner for Best Picture without giving the nominees.
I should have done this whole
stuff that he does.
I should have done this whole thing as Joe Pesci. I should have. I should have done the whole thing. I should have been like,
Okay, listen, me and Ross, we're going to do this bracket right now, and I'm really excited about it. You know, there's a little kid in New York City. If anybody sees him, give me a call, 1-800-555. I go get the kids. Anywho, so here we go. We're going to go through the bracket, the East, the South, the Midwest, the West. I mean, for me, I'm just trying to understand. Long Beach State, that's the only one that gets in. There's no Brooklyn. There's no Queens. I got problems with this. I got a lot of problems. Anyways, go ahead.
I love My Cousin Vinny, The Two Youths, and then of course Home Alone and Goodfellas. Home Alone, his hair getting on fire. I just love those amazing actor. But North Carolina, of course, knocks off Michigan State. They'll win pretty easily with that to get to Sweet 16. Then we'll have St. Mary's versus Alabama. But I'm going to go with Alabama. The Crimson Tide knock off the 5-seed St. Mary's team. St. Mary's, it's always a tussle with them and Gonzaga, but Gonzaga goes deeper in the tournament usually. I think Alabama is better than St. Mary's. They face better competition all year long. They will knock them off. And then we'll go with Clemson versus Baylor. I'm going to go with Baylor to knock off Clemson. Clemson's season comes to an end. Baylor, very powerful team. They're going to be able to put up some points against Clemson. They pull away late. They will get to the round of 16. And then Dayton, a Cinderella team, versus Arizona. Dayton's going to give Arizona all they want and more. They're going to scare the hell out of the Wildcats. But in the end, Arizona survives, and they find a way to beat Dayton in a close game. I think it could be a low-scored, single-digit game. One or two possessions. Arizona knocks off Dayton to get to the round of 16.
boo, go with the upset. I'm the one that went with the upsets this year. Ross has been, you've been gentle on the upset. Not a lot of upsets.
I've had some upsets, not as many. I had Oregon go deep. I had Gonzaga go to the Final Four, which you had Gonzaga get knocked out quickly. Yeah. I had UAB win as a 12 seed over 5. They haven't been as many upsets, but I've had some upsets. I've been picking and choosing where I want to put these upsets in.
I'm upset about the amount of upsets you have.
Hey, my mindset is I can be dead wrong. We all know who's going to be coming to that at the end of this. As much as we're kidding ourselves, if we think that really, I think it could be close when come championship game. We have a good idea who's going to be cutting the nets this year, and I think it's going to be very similar to last year. That's all I'll say right now.
Yeah.
Right now, okay, so Sweet 16.
So now the Elite Eight and your final. Yeah. So now we got your Elite Eight and your Final Four.
Yeah. North Carolina Tar Heels, they knock off Alabama. They got more firepower. They're going to knock off the Crimson Tide. North Carolina goes to the Elite Eight. Baylor. Here's a little upset. Baylor, as the 3 seed, it's a small upset, knocks off 2-seed Arizona Wildcats. Baylor will be advancing and go to the Elite Eight to take on the Tar Heels.
All right, so North Carolina versus the Baylor, the Heels versus the Bears. Who do you have for this one? Are you going with North Carolina? Now I just want to do Boston's. I just want, the bear. But I just want to get the Baylor Bears here. You're calling me a bear? I'm a teddy bear? So what do you got for me? What do you think? You just here to squeeze me? And so, I mean, North Carolina.
Did you watch the new show on
I did watch the new show.
Peacock.
It's fantastic.
Very funny prequel when he was in high school. And the guy they played, the young version of Mark Wahlberg's character from the Ted movies, very good. I love the thick Boston accent. Yeah. So I love the Ted movies, and I love the new show on Peacock. Give that a look. And The Bear, and then speaking of The Bear, The Bear is also a great show on Hulu and FX, a chef show, winning all the awards. So that's another great show. But
that's my question for you. My question for you is that, Ross. I mean, it's like, am I? What was that? I'm trying. There's so many things in the Ted movie, and I'm trying to find the thing that I can say that's not as dirty. But I've known you. Let's see here. You and I have been friends since 2008. It's 2024. 16 years. Where's my ring? Why don't you put a ring on my fuzzy finger?
Hey, we can sing the Blank You Thunder. When we're scared of thunder at night, we can sing the song together. So
my thunder
absolutely.
Buddy. You're my thunder buddy.
If you watch the Ted show, by the end of that first season, and a quick little spoiler, not a big spoiler, they give you a little bit the origin story, how the Thunder Buddies song came about. So I really enjoyed that nod to the movie.
Yeah, it was awesome. North Carolina.
Well, so
Bears, who you
I'm gonna say the Bears are gonna go and stay in hibernation. They don't realize it's spring because if you're in the Northeast, whether you're in Syracuse or where I am in Dallas, Pennsylvania, NEPA, it is freezing cold.
Oh, yeah. We had a snowstorm yesterday, folks. It's winter again.
Yes. It's supposed to be spring. We had beautiful 70-plus degree weather last week. We thought, oh, it's beautiful. It almost feels like summertime. we already our home opener while we've been doing the show. My home opener baseball game for Saturday for Atlas Baseball has been postponed. We're gonna have to reschedule because we had snow yesterday on the field. We had a practice inside the gym today. In Dallas, PA, is a high of 36 degrees. It is freezing. Next week's going to go back up to the 50s and 60s, but it's freezing. Mother Nature is drunk. Go home. It doesn't realize that it's springtime. Winter's supposed to be over. So I'm going to say the Bears didn't get the message. They stay in hibernation. The North Carolina Tar Heels, they're on a mission and laser focused after getting knocked out by their rival, NC State, in the ACC Championship game. The North Carolina Tar Heels, Hubert Davis, trying to finally win that national championship with him as the head coach, not as Roy Williams. A couple of years ago, they lost to Kansas Jayhawks, but Kansas made a big comeback, and Bill Self knocked North Carolina off in the championship game. North Carolina knocks off Baylor to go to the Final Four. So my Final Four teams are UConn, North Carolina, Houston, and the only team that's not a number one seed, Gonzaga, the Zags, and Mark Few as a 5 seed got in. Those are my 4 teams that are left in this great tournament.
And there we go. So taking a look at it, I will now head to my West bracket. As we have it up on the screen, Ross has North Carolina coming out of his West. North Carolina will play up against Wagner. And Wagner, got a lot of respect for Wagner because Wagner is right in the NEC. Covered the NEC for a bunch of years. Covered Lemoyne, are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of Lemoyne College and their Dolphins. So I know all about Wagner. Very happy for him. Got to interview their coach after the game. I want to thank Donald Copeland for his time and much appreciation and respect to his team that's doing it with just 7 players. But I'm going with the North Carolina Tar Heels to get a victory here and move forward in this game as much as I want to see Wagner get it. By the way, the exact position of the NEC last year in the bracket was in this position right here as you see it. If you're looking at a bracket, it's the bottom left. The bottom left is where FDU, also from the NEC like Wagner, beat Purdue. Just want to make a note of that. And next one up here, we have Mississippi State against Michigan State. Tom Izzo, I mean, listen, last year, the last year and the year before, they're putting in 8 or 9 teams out of the Big Ten. They just keep throwing them in and throwing them in. And last year, what happened? They all lost except for who? Tom Izzo. Why? Because he's awesome. Should they be in? Probably not. But they're going to win at least this game. Michigan State moving forward because he is so good. Yes, I did make a dad joke, and no, I don't care that I did it. St. Mary's is going in to this one. The Grand Canyon, I interviewed them last year, had some fun with them. This is the thing. Who can beat the Grand Canyon? The Grand Canyon's undefeated. However, on the basketball court, I think St. Mary's is going to get a victory here in this one, and they will move forward in the NCAA tournament to the round of 32. And next up that we have here, Alabama versus the College of Charleston. Charleston's a beautiful city. If you've never been to South Carolina in the Charleston area, you're missing out. It's the home of the place. It's the home of the store, the general store that started the moon pie. How dare you not be there? I've been there. It's fun. Got a lot of different flavors of moon pie too. Banana's not that bad. You might think it is, but it's not. Try it. They're going up against Alabama. Alabama made a run last year. They got a good coach. They got a lot of fun. And the Alabama Crimson Tide are not just a football school anymore, folks. Alabama's going to be moving on in this one. I have the Crimson Tide rolling on to the next round of the NCAA tournament. And so next up after this, Clemson versus New Mexico. Folks, Syracuse fans, you can sleep sweetly today. Even though you're not in the tournament, the player that you booed is. Joe Girard from Glens Falls is in the tournament with the Clemson Tigers. And anybody who's a Syracuse fan hating on this man spent 4 years with you. You booed him. He got his degree, and the only reason why he's got a 5th year is because of COVID. And he went to Clemson to play real basketball where they box out, have big men, they defend, they set screens, they run offensive plays, they know each other's strengths, and they move the ball well. Holy crap. Maybe Syracuse should watch some video on Clemson. The other orange that was actually playing real basketball and not pickup ball. If Syracuse wants to know why, and I'm saying this in my hometown, if you want to know why you're not in the tournament, Syracuse, it's because street ball at the Y does not get you into the NCAA tournament. Next up here, Baylor versus Colgate. Baby girl, could I do it? Oh, I know Matt Langle. I know how dangerous he is. And you think that Syracuse is the powerhouse of upstate New York? Oh, no. Colgate, baby. They won and they won and they won and they won and they won. Patriot League. The only time they haven't been to the NCAA tournament in the last few years was when they did not play due to COVID. That's the only thing that's kept them out of the tournament. When they're playing, they're winning the Patriot League. And you know what they're going to do in this game? They're going to win. Colgate, moving on here, over Baylor, that I think was maybe seeded a little bit too high.
That's a huge upset, buddy.
Yeah.
I definitely I give you lots of props and respect for that. You're picking toothpaste over the Bears, so hey,
Yeah.
I gotta give you props for that. That'd be a heck of an upset. Will destroy lots of brackets. And if you want chaos, watch the world burn. That's what you want to see happen in the first round.
Yeah, I'm going with the Colgate Raiders in this one to win it. Dayton was the team that was most affected by COVID. When that happened, Dayton was the number 1 overall seed in the 2020 NCAA tournament. What happened with COVID did not affect any team more when it comes to seeding than the Dayton Flyers. I don't know if they'll ever be a number 1 seed again. I hope that they will. I have a belief that good things happen to good people, and you get what you give. I'm picking the Dayton Flyers to move on in this round and make it past Nevada to go into the round of 32. And after they get through the round of 32, we are going to take a look at Arizona and Long Beach State. And as Ross and I spoke about just a little bit ago, Long Beach State mutually agreed to part ways with their coach, who went on to win the conference tournament and then said, I'm not done coaching. I'm going to coach somewhere else. Guess what? Long Beach State, you let this man go, you stupid. I'm going with the Arizona Wildcats, though, to win this game. I don't trust Arizona in the NCAA tournament, but I'm going to trust them enough to win this game and move forward here. I used to pick Arizona. I've learned my lesson. In the next piece of this, as we move on to the round of the Sweet 16 out of 32, North Carolina versus Michigan State, I'm going with the Tar Heels to win this one. Do I think that UNC should be a number 1 seed? Probably not. But where they are right now, I do think that they can make a run, and I have them making a run in this tournament. I agree with Ross. Fly Slamma Jamma Bama is going to beat St. Mary's, because Bama, I mean, listen, folks, if you don't know their coach, if you don't know the way that this team plays some ball, get to know the Alabama Crimson Tide. It would behoove you to know who you're dealing with Alabama and Nate Oates, their head coach. So let's have some fun with Alabama and see what they can bring forward with this one. Alabama and Arkansas, both of those teams doing some good things. So I'm going to go with Alabama here. We don't have Arkansas in the bracket this year, unfortunately. Clemson and Colgate. Man, this is going to be nightmares for that boy they call Joe Girard III. He played Colgate every year at Syracuse. So when he sees Colgate, he's going to be looking at the guys going, bro, don't take this team easy. Don't think they're just 3-point shooters. Don't think we got this game in the bag. Don't think this is some pickup game in early November. You better get ready to play some ball in this one. Clemson and Colgate, folks, I love this, because no matter who makes it, one of these two is going to make it to the Sweet 16. And I respect them both tremendously for the work that they've done. Brad Brownell with Clemson and their team and everything that they put forward. PJ Hall is 62 years old, and he's still playing college basketball for Clemson. And then we get to see on the other side of it with Colgate, I mean, they don't rebuild, they reload. Matt Langle is a tremendous coach and a really hard worker. Clemson versus Colgate. I'm going to go with Clemson in this game, but I'm telling you right now, folks, Colgate is not to be looked over by any stretch of the imagination. And I told you that I don't trust Arizona. I don't trust them in the tournament. I just don't. Dayton Flyers, baby. Moving on. They're flying high past the Wildcats, and they will make it to the Sweet 16 as they move forward here to face off against Clemson. But let's go to our first matchup here, and that matchup is going to be Fly Slamma Jamma Bama going up against North Carolina, and I'm going to tell you, North Carolina, you got to raise up. Take your shirt off. Twist it around your head and spin it like a helicopter. We're going to the North Carolina Tar Heels to move on here into the Elite Eight. And then Clemson versus Dayton. Oh, Carolina going to be shaking, baby. They're going, wait a minute. Do we have to have another ACC game? Could the ACC make another run after being punched in the mouth by the NCAA selection committee? The committee punishes them and they move forward. They punish them, and they move forward. We're only going to give you 5. We're going to give the Big Ten as many as they want. You want 8? You want 9? How many you want, guys? Out of 14, more than half are making it. Who even should be making it? And then you look at the ACC last year. Would they have 5 teams in? Look at how far they go. So could it happen again? Could Clemson and North Carolina be playing an ACC game in the Sweet 16? Yeah, mother trucker, it's going to happen. So Clemson is going up against the North Carolina Tar Heels, folks. This game is going to put the ACC out there once again, and fans are going to be sitting here, and the committee's going to look stupid again, and eventually, of the last 3 years of disrespect and abuse of the ACC, maybe the NCAA selection committee could make a good decision, or the ACC is going to continue to make you look stupid. The only way the ACC is not moving forward in the tournaments in the last 3 years is if you don't put them in. And even when you don't put in many of them, they still find a way. North Carolina and Clemson. The run by the Clemson Tigers clawing their way to the Elite Eight, but North Carolina will find their way out of this bracket, and they will move forward into the Final Four, giving my Final Four UConn, Houston, Tennessee, and North Carolina. So with that being said, Ross and I have a final note to make, and that is going to be on screen together as I bring Ross back on the screen for our Final Four, who's making it to the championship game, and who will win this year's 2024 Division I men's basketball NCAA tournament. Ross has number 1 seed UConn up against number 1 seed North Carolina, number 1 seed Houston up against number 5 seed Gonzaga. I have number 1 seed UConn versus number 1 seed North Carolina, number 1 seed Houston versus number 2 seed Tennessee. What do you have, sir?
We only have one difference because our Final Four is almost exactly correct.
And I never go
exactly
ones. I never pick ones like that. I don't.
Yeah, I usually try to avoid them because I figure it's only happened like once or twice before that it's been chalk and all 4 number 1s go to the Final Four.
Like
so I look for someone not to. So, but yeah, the only difference we have, I have Gonzaga going on a long run to get to the Final Four, and you have Tennessee to go on a long run to go to the Final Four. So, UConn, North Carolina, Houston, Gonzaga, drum roll. I'm going to go. You know what I'm thinking. Coach Hurley, his brother, his dad, who was a long-time high school basketball coach, basketball runs deep in the blood of that Hurley family. And they were amazing last year. They were a juggernaut. They blew out teams. Every single win was by double digits or more. And I think they continue that streak because I think North Carolina can be dangerous to UConn, but I still think in the end, UConn, been there, done that. They have so much power here and so much explosiveness. And Hurley's got this program on a roll. It's not going to last forever. You know that. In March Madness, it's a crapshoot. It can definitely end quickly. But I think UConn, North Carolina makes it close. UConn pulls away late, and UConn's going to win by about 10 or 11 points. They knock off North Carolina and go to the national championship game for the second year in a row.
All right.
My other side is going to be the Houston Cougars.
The other white meat.
Yeah. The other white meat, the baby, the tasty.
Who would have thought we would have 7 references to Fat Bastard during the tournament challenge here? That we have.
Yes, a character from Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, the second Austin Powers movie, only back in 1999. So it was 25 years ago, well before I ever had a cell phone, well before there was an iPhone, well before there was lots of things. We still had the phones still had the wires that were connected.
For Ross and I to go to the movies together, I had to walk 7 miles to his house, knock on his door, and hope that he was there. And if he was out tending to the field, I had to ring the triangle to bring him in.
Yeah, we had to have like one of those carrier pigeons and call out and go, oh, and then that's how you were able to communicate with your buddy if they wanted to hang out. So that's what it was back then. There was no text message in 1999. There were simpler times just 25 years ago, a quarter of a century ago. So It's crazy how that's gone. And like I said, Gonzaga has pretty much been on this magical run with Mark Few since 1999. So, and they've been on a great run. They're going to get to the Final Four. But I think their glass slipper, it's going to finally crack. It's finally going to break. The Houston Cougars, they're on a mission. They're ready. They didn't like how it ended last year. Houston's going to knock off Gonzaga. Gonzaga's going to be tough. They're going to give them everything they want and more. But in the end, Houston wins by 5 or 6 points. They knock off the Zags, and Gonzaga still falls just a bit short. of their ultimate goal, and it's going to be the Houston Cougars, a number 1 seed, versus the defending national champion UConn Huskies in the national championship game.
Oh, this is going to be good. Houston versus UConn in Ross's bracket. Give me the national champion of the 2024 NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament, and give me the score.
We're going to go with Coach Hurley cutting down the nets for the second year in a row. The UConn Huskies. Houston's going to be tough. It's going to be a closer game than you would think. UConn is going to prevail. They'll knock off Houston. I'm going to go with 89. I have the score right here, 89-83. Somewhat of a high-scoring game for college basketball. UConn wins by 6 points, 89-83 over the Houston Cougars to win their second straight national championship. They continue to dominate college basketball, and Coach Hurley is now becoming the elite of the elite, the top of the heap, the next Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams of college basketball. Coach Hurley.
Excuse me, you said it wrong. It's Mike Krzyzewski. Thank you.
Yeah, that's how some people pronounce it. Little by little, he's got a long way to go. He's got to do this over a long period of time. He keeps this going, then UConn is going to be back where they were when Jim Calhoun was the head coach, and he's going to be starting his candidacy to be in the Hall of Fame before it's all said and done in Springfield, Massachusetts. Coach Hurley and UConn, they're on an amazing run. They're going to knock off Houston and win the national championship for the second year in a row.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is going to be a tough thing. Dan Hurley, first of all, fantastic first name, just great, and ultimate.
You say no notes. Best name in the world, no notes.
Yeah. But when I said it the way I said it, I was like, I should have used a different impression when I did that. When fantastic name, totally great. Good name, fantastic, up top, that's right. High five, you know it. Thank you, good night, have a great day. So that's where we are right now.
If only his name was Donnie, that's the only way it would probably be better.
You got to close your eyes and you got to pretend like you're doing a symphony. That's all, right here in this world. Okay. So when we got the, so we have mine going on here. So Ross is going to go, pardon me, with UConn and Houston. I think these are the two best teams in the tournament. I mean, and I felt this way before the bracket came out. So we both, obviously good reason why we have them in our Final Four. UConn and North Carolina. Well, North Carolina lost to NC State in the ACC Tournament Championship. In the Final Four, UConn's a little bit better than NC State, folks. So I'm going to go with, no offense there, but I'm just saying, UConn, I'm going to pick UConn to win this game. UConn going to the Final Four, or the championship game, once again this year, back-to-back. UConn, baby. Who would have thought Syracuse fans having nightmares? Remember those days with the Mecca Okafor and all these moments and Elamine and all that? I mean, people were just they're twitching over this UConn thing, but it's the truth. The Big East is real deal. By the way, the Big East getting snubbed by the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee as a conference in its entirety this year, and they're going to once again prove them wrong. The ACC and the Big East just kicking tail in the NCAA Tournament. On the other side, Houston and Tennessee. Well, I told you guys Houston was a good team a few years ago, and then I told you they were a good team. And then last year I said that they could win a national championship, and I thought that they would. And here they are again this year, and they're in the Big 12 in their first season in the Big 12, and they beat Kansas by 30 at the end of the season when you're supposed to be playing your better basketball. Unless you're Michigan State, you can lose 5 out of 7. But Houston is going to win this game over Tennessee. Basically, at this point, I don't care who Houston plays on that side of the bracket. Houston is going to go to the national championship game. I have the Cougars moving forward because you know how they do. And so I'm going with UConn. I'm going with Houston. Same as Ross. We didn't look at each other's brackets before this. We don't cheat on our tests. So UConn versus Houston. The team that I said Houston no matter what on a napkin last year, or the reigning national champion.
Can they slay Goliath? Will you have the courage, your conviction, and say they can slay the best team in college basketball?
I mean, I think we have the courage to go through this whole thing in a world that we live in today, where if we get one pick wrong, if I get today in 16 games, if I get one game wrong, there's a chance someone's going to go, 0 for 1, Dan. And so, like, even if I go 15 and 1. It's funny how those people shut up, though. It's like 0 for 1, and then I go 4 and 1, in that round, and then I'll go 3-0, and I don't hear anything. But Houston versus UConn. By the way, internet trolls, I want to thank you for something. Because what I've learned in life is that they're dung beetles that are in society that pick up your poop and they roll it and they take it into their dungeon so they clean the ground. And I consider internet trolls to be the dung beetles of humanity. And I thank you for taking your poop, rolling it, and taking it back to your home. UConn versus Houston for this one here. This is going to be some good basketball. And if we get to see these two teams, we will be pleasured by seeing the top two teams in the nation fighting for the national championship, as it should be. UConn, Houston, a team that I have adopted and appreciated over many years now, a bunch of years now, Houston Cougars, or a team that I know, even though I was born and raised in Syracuse, that they are a dangerous mofo in UConn. Can somebody go back-to-back? Well, I know Drake can over Meek Mill. I'm going with the UConn Huskies to go back-to-back. I'm picking the UConn.
The last time that I think it was the Florida Gators and Billy Donovan, in 2006 and 2007, was the last time we had repeat national champions. We finally got it in football with the Kansas City Chiefs did it, first time in 20 years since the Patriots won back-to-back Super Bowls. But if UConn wins in basketball, I think the first time in 17 years since Billy Donovan's Florida Gators in 06 and 07 won the national championship. By the way, we were still in college back then. That was a long time ago, buddy.
One of the most boring championships I ever watched was, I think, Florida versus UCLA, when it was like, let's see if you can score 60 points. So UConn, I'm going with UConn over Houston. If you're going to beat Houston, you're going to have to score at least 80.
What's the score?
Ross had 89-83.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. It's so hard. So because I think that Houston can win this game. I'm going to go 83-80. 3 points.
Ooh.
3 points.
Close game.
Can
you imagine if it comes down to the very end and Houston has a chance pulling up a buzzer beater to tie it or win it? That'd be a thrilling nail biter for a championship game.
So let me put these on the screen. I'm going to take pictures of these, and you're going to be able to see them in your life. But this is Ross's bracket. All done, and this is my bracket here for you folks. So these will be up digitally. They'll be on our Yahoo Tourney Pick'em, and I'm going to put this up once again on our social media. So if you haven't joined, please make sure that you join us. We look forward to that. Ross, any final notes as the drive hits year 13? We're in high gear, proudly presented by Great Lakes Honda City, who will be driving you through the tournament here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with Ross Turetsky, myself, Dan Tortora. The 2024 NCAA Division I Men's Tournament College Basketball Bracket Unveiling is now in its completion. Ross and I have chosen every team every round, and I did my first four, folks, and I can tell you, I did really good on the early games, and I missed out on the late games. I had Wagner, Virginia, Grambling State, and Boise State. Thank you, Wagner and Grambling State, for getting me my victories. Virginia and Boise State, how dare you make me not be 100% going into this? So, all jokes aside, any final note?
It's a Baker dozen, 13 years doing it with you, buddy. I wouldn't have it any other way. You're the perfect partner in crime. Yesterday was the 15th anniversary of the I Love You Man movie with Paul Rudd and Jason Segel. Hilarious one I've ever seen in the theaters with you back in 2009. Yeah. It's crazy to think that it's a decade and a half ago. I was a year out of college and the slap at the base and all that goofiness and all that.
When she tells him to stop and she's like, can you not? And then he looks at her and he goes, I slap at the base, man.
Slap at the base, man. And then she's like, you sound a little like Borat and Jamaican at the same time. How's that possible? He's just having fun, Paul Rudd, and he's in the new Ghostbusters movie that comes out later today. But yeah, I want them to do. I hope they do more movies together, and it definitely reminds me of that kind of bromance. Reminds me of the partners in crime that me and you are together with the drive. So. I wanted to mention that yesterday was the 15th anniversary of that movie. I still love that movie to this day. I love you, man. And they even the tagline for the poster when the movie came out said, "Do you have the courage to say it to your bro? I love you, man. I love you, buddy." thanks for having me on each and every time doing the drive. Whenever you have me on your show, it's a treat. I'm very humbled and honored to be on your show, and very thankful that you get to that we get to do this together. And I hope we get to do this for many years to come, because there'll be a sad day when this no longer can happen. You know, it's never gonna. It's not. Nothing's forever, but as long as we're out there and we have a pulse, I hope to be doing the show with you, buddy.
Yeah, well, as long as God puts breath in my body, you and I will be together. I could not ask for a better friend. And I tell people this all the time. I say, you know, my brothers say I love you. So I love you back. I love you very much. And no better movie partner than this guy right here. And appreciate you so very much. I miss the days when we would go and see two in one outing. So I look forward to seeing movies with you soon, as they're starting to kick into gear now. We're starting to get some good ones back. But yeah, I mean, the drive was started. It was an idea back in 2011. I came to you because you were one of the people that I trusted as I was looking to build what I was doing, and you've always been by my side. And I tell you this, I hope your ears ring all the time for a positive way. I tell people many, many times and throughout my life, and I said it recently, there is no better friend. And if everybody can have a Ross in their life, if you want someone who is rooting for you, there for you, will pick you out of a ditch, will carry you, will not make excuses, and always find time for you. If you're looking for someone to embody all of the characteristics that are in the literal Bible, what love is supposed to be, patient and kind, and doesn't delight in evil, and isn't selfish, it always persists, it always endures, it never fails. If you're looking for that type of love and that type of appreciation, God could not have put a brother biologically into my life and made him a better human being. So I am entirely forever indebted to the fact that your friendship has made me a better person, and the drive is something that has to happen every single year because of you. So thank you for that.
Thank you, buddy. And remember, 7 more days to open baseball. Forget basketball. I know it's the first day of the tournament. That's what we're talking about. It's all a ruse. I'm just kidding. It's the only thing I care about. Opening day 7 days away. And we had some 2 regular season games in South Korea this week at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I've been sick enough to wake up early to watch these games with Dodgers and Padres, to watch Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Baseball's back, so I'm pumped and I'm excited. So go baseball, go Luzerne baseball. And I can't wait for the basketball tournament. But I really can't wait for opening day 7 more days away.
And
with my Yankees versus the Astros.
And I hope it makes you feel good that you finally won a very, very long battle, which was 16 years of trying to get me to not say fake news and to be excited. When my Arizona Diamondbacks lost the 2023 World Series, I said to my dad, "Can baseball start tomorrow?" And
but that's because you're hooked. That was my goal.
I'm
Your
hooked now.
Diamondbacks have finally hooked you to baseball, and you got a taste of victory, knocking the Phillies off in a big upset to go to the World Series, and you got close. You're 3 wins away from winning that championship before losing to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Maybe this is your year. And I'm pumped and excited that I've converted you as a true baseball fan to watch your Diamondbacks, and hopefully they kick butt in the National League West and make another deep playoff run once again.
Yeah, Ross finally won. When I'm looking at 100 days of baseball, I'm like, why can't it be 4? I never want time to go by fast. I just wanted baseball to come back. They can play in the winter. That's fine. So with that being said, for Ross and I in the drive, proudly presented by Great Lakes Honda City, the only place that you should be driving off the lot with your next vehicle on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Ross, as always, God bless, and please enjoy our 2 most favorite days every year of the tournament, and 2 of our favorite days of the year in general, when we watch basketball for half a day straight. Enjoy it.
My wife's going to hate it, but I'm going to love every moment of it. I know she hates all the baseball. She hates all the college basketball, but I'm going to love it. Guys, make sure you do something nice for your significant other if they have to put up with college basketball if they don't like it. Because remember, not everyone's into this, but guys, I know you're going to be excited. I remember as a kid, if you behaved yourself, they'd let you watch, especially a substitute teacher, you can kind of confuse them. They'd let you watch the NCAA Tournament March Madness basketball games during the school day because they start at 12 p.m. They're about to start in less than an hour. I think we kick off on CBS and True TV and TBS and all that. Enjoy the college basketball, but make sure do something nice afterwards, because there are people in your life who can't stand basketball being on all day long. But I know you and I, we will love every moment of it. Thanks for having me on. Be well, and remember, forget basketball. 7 more days until opening day of baseball. That's what you should take out of the show. Not who's going to win. UConn's going to win it all with Coach Hurley. 7 more days, opening day of baseball. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Men and women who love college basketball, this is the only time of the year when if your significant other is not supportive of you watching basketball all day, that when they go outside to the backyard or the front yard, you can pull the screen, and as you're shutting the door, looking them in the eye, you can say, I'm sorry, and just close that door.
So, it could be like the Alamo movie we saw. I'm really sorry about this.
Really
Billy
sorry
Bob
about
Thornton.
Yeah. But this is the only time where you can pull that screen door shut, and then you can go ahead and shut that back door and tell your significant other, you did this to yourself. I'll see you on the other side in the early part of April. I don't know how it's going to work out for you, but the basketball will always be worth it.
I'll see you in 3.5 weeks. Don't bother me till then. Yeah. Let's see how well that works out.
I'll tell you this: there is the rule of 3: 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. For some odd reason, a man or a woman will show you who they truly are in the rule of 3. Why do you think there's a 90-day rule in a business? Because they know that you will break character at least once in that period. So if in 3 weeks they can't support you, that's not your person. Let them go. So have a great day. 7 days till baseball, but in less than an hour, college basketball gets right up in your grill all through the next 3.5 weeks.
I'm doing spirit fingers and 7 at the same time.
Yeah. We'll talk with you all soon. I'm going to take a step aside. Ross, I'll talk with you, buddy. I love you.
Be well. Bye-bye. Enjoy the madness of March, everyone.
All right, you too. Coming from Ross Turetsky here on The Drive once again, where sports meets life. PJ is going to be joining us on a different day now because The Drive, we were talking to him during the show, and The Drive, because it typically takes up an entire broadcast, and it's one of the biggest specials, if not the biggest special we do all year long, I wanted to make sure that we gave you the full time here. So PJ will be with us soon, and we love him very much. By the way, happy belated birthday to MT. Her birthday is March 20th. She turned 23 years old this year. God bless you, MT. We love you, and I appreciate you. She's another mom to me, and she's a big, big part of my life. So I love you, MT. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll be back to wrap up the show after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. It is your place to go for all of your sports card and collectible needs. Head over to GG Cards and Breaks today on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. And you will find them Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., as well as on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You will find GG Cards and Breaks right there on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Basketball, baseball, football, hockey, soccer, AEW, all sport, as well as Pokemon and Disney Lorcana, all on site, on location. They're constantly building their inventory and doing a lot of great things with their singles, their graded cards, their packs, and their boxes. So head out to GG Cards and Breaks today. If you've never collected cards before, it's a great opportunity to start with a wonderful place with wonderful service and great people. Thanks to Josh, Anthony, and the entire team. And of course, if you've been collecting your whole life, it's a great place to continue. We'll see you out at GG Cards and Breaks today and all throughout the week on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Experience the difference at GG Cards and Breaks. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of The Drive. giving you all of our picks for the entire tournament. Once again, we have the brackets here for you. We have Ross's bracket, which is right here on your screen in its entirety. I'm going to take a picture of it as soon as I get off the air so you can see it. We're going to share it on our social media, and there is my bracket for you. You have a few more minutes to join our bracket. You have actually, at this moment, 41 minutes to join our bracket challenge. I just shared it on our platforms here. I'm going to go ahead and share it on YouTube as well. But make sure you join our bracket challenge. Don't miss out on the opportunity to join the Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge. It is free to do so, and make sure that you put yourself into our bracket challenge. It's fun. We love checking into it, see how Ross is doing, see how I'm doing. So get on to the bracket challenge ASAP and join us and have some fun with us. I just shared it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and on our Facebook channel, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. It's also on X, the former Twitter, @CallDT. I'm going to share it on Instagram again, @wakeupcall_DT, so you will not be able to miss it. Make sure you join us ASAP. Get your bracket in. Have some fun. It's digital. It's free. It's on Yahoo, where we've been for many, many years. So help us make some history by putting your bracket into our bracket challenge. Big time thanks to all of our wonderful people that have watched and listened to us all throughout history and today on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Much appreciation to everybody that's connected with us. And thank you so much, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Once the show goes live, it jumps to the archives, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, a big time thanks to our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York that we appreciate so very much. Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Pot's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, and we are the proud exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. AD and DT coming to you on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The first and third Wednesday of each month, you'll find AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, you'll find the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, future Dolphins, administration, and alumni. Find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and the notification bell. And, of course, you can find us there, so make sure that you do that with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. You can also find the Lemoyne playlist there for you, and you can find the Lemoyne Dolphins by going to wakeupcalldt.com on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bobcats with us every single month, student athletes, coaches, and administration joining us where sports meets life. So definitely connect with us with the Bobcats. You could find the Bobcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. And, of course, you can find them in our BSC Syracuse playlist with men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, what's going on right now, as well as esports. Find all of our content with the awesome Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse exclusively on our YouTube channel, as well as on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are the newest exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Binghamton University Bearcats with us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time. And during Bearcat Time, each month you will have a plethora of Bearcat break room specials featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the years. And you will also find our Moments with Marshall special once each month. You'll have the opportunity with our Moments with Marshall to hear about the Binghamton University Bearcats and get an inside behind-the-scenes look with Gene Marshall, the athletics director of Binghamton University. Find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Make sure you click subscribe. And, of course, you can find the Binghamton University list of our playlist that we have for you on our YouTube channel. You can also go to our wakeupcalldt.com main website, and you can find them there on the homepage as well as underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com. And as always, go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank my fantastic better half of the drive, Ross Turetsky. I want to thank Great Lakes Honda City for bringing the drive to you and for bringing us all the way through the tournament. As we drive through the tournament, we will be proudly presenting each of those pieces with Great Lakes Honda City on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can get in touch with them once again, and I implore you to do so by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. You can also call them for the opportunity of setting up a meeting for a new or for looking to buy a car, looking to lease, looking for new or used. You can call 315-979-8588. That's 315-979-8588. They are open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. today, so make sure you get in touch with them. They are open for sales, and I want to take a look at all the hours. You can also go on to wakeupcalldt.com and check out the Great Lakes Honda City page with all this information. They're closed on Sunday, and Monday through Thursday they're open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Friday 9 to 6, and Saturday 9 to 5 for sales. So make sure you get in touch with Great Lakes Honda City on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Proudly bringing you the drive here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we drive through our NCAA tournament picks. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. By the graciousness and blessing and continued favor and love of God, I look forward to bringing you great things. I'm grateful to everything I've been able to bring, and I will appreciate these blessings from God every single day of my life. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the tournament. Join our bracket challenge for free on Yahoo. It's the Wake Up Call Breakup Challenge. So if you just look up bracket challenge, the Wake Up Call Breakup Challenge, that'd be fun. So if you just look up Wake Up Call on Yahoo, I'm also going to put the links on all of our social media. We'll see you there. God bless. No stress. Do your best, and let's have some fun.